All right, guys, we've been doing a lot of these amazing webinars over the last 6 months. They've been a huge success. And the reason we've been doing them is, I'm Kevin Michael Schmitz. I'm a celebrity fashion advertising photographer. I've been really wanting to give back, really wanting to kind of provide some additional value to photographers out there. So I thought that, you know what, I mean, instead of just limiting it to our elite photographic workshops that we've been doing for the last 11 years, and we've directed over 122 of these elite workshops, I thought, you know what, let's kind of lift the curtain and reveal some secret strategies that normally we talk about at the workshops, but I thought, you know what, during these webinars, it's a good opportunity to kind of share what I know and my experiences with the entire photographic community. I think that, there's a lot of, I think, information out there, but there's a lot of misinformation. And I think there's a lot of limited information because there's a lot of photographers and workshop directors out there that don't want to tell photographers the entire story. They don't want to reveal all the secrets because they're worried about competition. So I can tell you what, from my experience, I'm here for you guys. I am dedicated to photographic education, and I'm dedicated to all the photographers out there, not only that take our workshops, but also photographers in general. I'm a big advocate of trying to maximize profitability as a photographer, maximize opportunity as a photographer. And I don't see other photographers as competition. I'm here to, do what I can to help bring everybody up. And I'd recommend you guys do that too. Because I tell you what, when photographers are team players and they're there to kind of bring each other up, everybody wins. Everybody makes more money. And we're not kind of, many photographers in certain areas tend to be at a race to the bottom on price. And for me, I think completely opposite. To me, it's all about adding value. It's all about taking it up to the next level and doing what we can to add value to your clientele. I think that's critical, absolutely critical. So I think that I want to make sure when you guys are, are thinking about that, and that you guys are thinking about what you want to do in your photographic career, think about what kind of value you can bring to the table, not only to yourself, not only to your clients, not only to those around you, but also to the photographic community. What can you add? What can you do? Because I think it's really, really, really important so that it benefits everybody, because we're all in this together. All right, guys. So now it's about 5 minutes to go before we begin. And we're going to have probably a big influx of photographers here in the next 5-10 minutes or so as everybody joins, because this is supposed to start at 4 p.m. Pacific time. Also, if you guys, I also love to hear your perspectives. If there's a certain topic that you want us to cover in the future at one of our photographic webinars, let us know. Also, if there's a certain time or day that you guys prefer the webinars, we've been generally doing them on weekends. This is we decided today to try a weekday after the big holiday weekend, or a certain time of day. I like to know kind of what you guys like, what you guys prefer. So that's also super helpful. I'm going to put a bunch of Q&As up, and I really would love it if you guys could answer the polls and let me know your perspectives. So the first one here, I'm going to launch a poll, and it's going to be about what type of photography do you shoot? And let me know, what kind of photography do you like to photograph? Are you into lifestyle advertising, weddings, portraits, corporate events, fine art, fashion, swim, product photography? I know that the topic of this webinar today, it's going to be all about essentially fashion and telling editorial stories and also filming. Obviously not all of you guys are full-time professional fashion photographers. So I'd love to hear what you guys are interested in. That's always helpful for me. And that way I can kind of craft what we're going to do, today and also in the future, because I do this for you specifically. It's pretty important to find that out. So let me know, and if you do multiple things, that's fine. If you want to shoot, if you shoot weddings and portraits, but you also shoot lifestyle advertising, you also do fashion on the side, that's awesome. We want to hear about that. Tell us about that. If you guys have any questions for me or any of our panelists today, this is going to be about a solid hour and a half to 2-hour webinar. I'd love for you guys to please enter it in the Q&A. That's important. Don't enter it here on the chat. Just put it in the Q&A, and that way we can answer each and every one at a time. So please go ahead and ask any questions in the Q&A, and we'll do our best to try to get to those. Okay. So uh, let me know also if you know, if there is something that, if you guys want clarification, there's a topic we're going to cover on producing. It can be a little complex, and a lot of times photographers, you know, they tend to be uh, you know, adept at photography, but maybe not as much on producing. So I think I'd love to hear your guys' perspective. Okay, we're just about to go live on Facebook. All right, guys. And if you have any other friends or photographers or family members that want to join, please invite them to come now, because this one is going to be a really, really special one. We haven't really gotten into, of all the webinars we've done, I mean, I think we've done like maybe 12 over the last 6 months. We've never really done any on producing. And you know, we just directed this epic fashion photography shoot. It was a 4-day production, this epic Chicago fashion photography workshop about a week and a half ago. And it was so spectacular. And it was such an incredible opportunity. And what made it amazing is the producing. It's all the details that went into it, all the little nuances, from the incredible locations to the mind-blowing fashion models to the props, the fashion styling, all of the details. It all came together to make magic. And we have a number of photographers and staff that were there. So all these panelists actually were there during this amazing workshop, including Daniel Rothschild, who is one of our top photographic consultants. He's here on as one of our panelists. If you guys have any questions for him, he's incredible. He was there throughout not only the Chicago workshop, but also the epic production we did in Newport Beach in July. We have the great Chelsea Frank, who is, she's works with us. She's another top photographic consultant and fashion consultant. Chelsea was actually our key fashion stylist on the Newport Beach experience, as well as the Chicago fashion workshop, and also the upcoming New York fashion workshop. So Chelsea knocked it out of the park. And of all the workshops we've done over the last, you know, 11 years, the fashion styling was some of the best we've ever seen. And Chelsea just knocked it out of the park. It was incredible. And also the differential with styling, which is something that we're going to discuss today with producing, how to, you know, essentially style for the type of production that we're doing. And for instance, in Chicago, we had different shoots, from a vintage Mad Men editorial where all the wardrobe was very straight up custom made vintage apparel by custom made designers that we had made specifically for that shoot. And it was all like vintage Mad Men 1960s. And that was a very, very specific look. But then Chelsea also, you know, we kind of collaborated on not just that kind of look, but also with vintage cars, which I thought was pretty cool. And actually, you know, if you guys see kind of the cover image to this webinar, it's, you know, this is a collection of images that we shot, you know, like last week in Chicago. So it includes some epic vintage fashion story with what we did with that Mad Men editorial, with vintage 1965 Corvette convertible, along with the custom-made apparel, and then all the little details like the scarves, the handbags, the gloves, all these little nuances that really came together. And then you see what we shot with the horses. We shot this epic equestrian fashion story, and I know a lot of you guys joined because you guys love shooting with horses, or you've always wanted to shoot with horses, or maybe you shoot with horses, but you want to do a big fashion story with horses. And to me, I've done a ton of equestrian shoots, so I'm here to talk about that today. How to produce a massive scale equestrian fashion production and how to make it completely over the top like you see here. So this was a very complex shoot. And over the course of 4 days, day one, we shot vintage Mad Men fashion, which is amazing. With a top fashion model. And day two, we actually shot a lifestyle boho story that was completely different. We shot lifestyle boho, which was a little bit more, you know, it's like kind of like you see straight out of like a Free People advertising campaign, is what we shot for day 2. And honestly, of all of what we did throughout the workshop, I have to admit the photographer's favorite scenes were actually from the boho vintage story, which was amazing. And also a vastly different type of photography. It was all free people using all kinds of amazing kind of boho looking feel and creating these incredible moments with top tier world-class fashion and lifestyle models, creating these moments, allowing them to unfold and then capturing them, both photographically and with video production. Day 3, we shot on location doing the high-end Mad Men vintage story, which is, you know, what we were just going over. That stuff to me was still probably, I think, some of the most iconic photography. And it was what kind of drew a lot of our photographers into the fold and why they actually attended and came with us last week in Chicago. And it was incredible. It was immaculate. And what we created with producing something like this at this scale, it was a challenge. Having all these, you know, vintage apparel custom made. Chelsea actually had numerous meetings with the designer to get it exactly right, to have the designer make the garments to the specifications of the models and the look and style and color scheme that we were going for, right? And you notice how well the color scheme matches with the property. We're shooting at a 12,000 square foot mansion estate in the suburbs of Chicago. And, you know, and that's a whole nother aspect of what we're going to discuss today. How to achieve these amazing locations. How do we find them? Because I get this asked all the time, Kevin, how do you find these 20, $30 million estates, these unbelievable castles, these insane locations? Where do you even find these things, right? So I'm going to talk about that, how we actually find those and produce these shoots with locations as well. But in regards to the fashion, I wanted to make sure the fashion also matched with what we're doing, because I'm thinking about all the details here. I want to find out, okay, if we're going to shoot kind of a vintage story, I also want to have a little bit of a vintage feel. Now, everything doesn't have to be perfectly period piece, but I do want to make sure that it also correlates. For instance, I don't want to have the house looking too modern. I don't, you know, there's a lot of modern houses. You know, the location, the multi-million-dollar mansion we shot at Newport Beach in July for the lifestyle story, that was wonderful, but it wouldn't have worked for Mad Men. You know, it was too modern. So for something like this, it's very, very kind of has that feel, kind of a classic feel, almost like this kind of French, you know, facade a little bit. It kind of has that nice, like you can't really tell. And obviously, you know, this is shot in 2020, but I wanted it to have that kind of feel. And it was amazing. It was over the top. I had the cigarette holder with the cigarettes, the sunglasses, all the little details and props. I actually had ordered from Amazon, had them shipped in, and then all the apparel we had custom made for the shoot. And then we were able to produce and find this car. Now, this is one of the challenging parts, you guys. This is one of the things that a lot of times we don't discuss because it's very like kind of top secret, a lot of the way we pull off these productions, because a lot of times, you know, photographers see what we do. They're like, oh my gosh, how did you pull off this amazing scene and sequence? Where did you come up with this stuff? How did you find it? We're very resourceful. And I have to, you know, tell you a little story about this car. We're shooting, you know, and I've been planning. In fact, I was planning to shoot with a 1960s Shelby Cobra convertible, and we had it lined up. We had the, you know, I communicated, I contacted car clubs. I had, in fact, specifically Martika Gartman, who's one of our panelists today. She's in the Chicago suburbs, and she had hooked up with some car clubs in Chicago, the west suburbs, and she was able to, you know, build some relationships with some of these car guys, and they were awesome. And they brought the cars. You know, usually you have to pay them a, you know, small fee to come and bring them. Sometimes they bring them for free. It just depends on what you work out. But we've worked with anything from a 1957 Parisienne convertible to 1960 Shelby Cobra convertible to 1965, you know, Corvette convertible, to all these different amazing cars over the years. And we had some relationships of people that we worked with that have these kind of cars, which was awesome. So we went back to our Rolodex of the people we've worked with in the past, and we trust them, we know them. Here's the problem though. We contacted all of the people and we actually even booked them. We had it all lined up and booked. But you know what? No matter how much planning goes into a photo shoot, something always goes wrong, right? So in this case, of course, like it became 93 degrees out. It was the hottest, one of the hottest days in Chicago of the year. And these old cars, they're vintage. They're, you know, these cars are, you know, some of them, they're ancient, you know, 60-year-old cars. These things, they overheat really easily. And the gentleman, the older gentlemen that own them, oftentimes they get really hot, and they're scared that if they drive them out and about, and if it's a little bit of a long distance, if they get stuck, what do? You know, and you know, overheats, and you know, it doesn't work. So one of the things we did was, you know, we had it all lined up, and we had them all back out. We actually went through 4 different classic cars that we already lined up and booked, and we had all lined up, and they all flaked. But you know what? We were resourceful. And the great Daniel Rothschild, who is one of our great photographic consultants, he helped me produce this. He was on set with me. And you know what? That even though like we had that lined up with one of the most amazing vintage cars, the vintage car guy would not get back to me. You know, he had lined it up, he agreed, he had everything agreed, just didn't show up. So he pulled it out of the hat, coordinated with all the car clubs in the area, and found a guy that brought this amazing 1965 red Corvette convertible, and the guy was a gem. Normally when you work with cars, vintage cars, they're very sensitive about these cars. They don't want people leaning on them like these models right here. They don't want them to get wet, the cars to get rained on. They're worried about the heat. They want to stay there with the car, and they get a little annoyed because they're there all day. So generally I'm going to arrange for the car to get there in the afternoon. So in this case, it was like 3 p.m. to like 7 p.m. I had a window. Right? And the cool thing is that they also, you know, during this time, you know, the guy actually dropped off the car and left it with us, which is unusual. So we got to move the car as much as we want and put it everywhere we wanted to be. And it also just happened to rain. So like the clouds came out, poured rain, you know, which the guy would have freaked out and probably left. But in this case, luckily it wasn't there. So we were able to dry it off and continue to work with it. But it, you know, it soaked us wet while we're shooting. But all kinds of things can happen on set. But what was great is that how resourceful we were. And I feel like it really adds some value when you're shooting stuff like this. It adds a kind of like, wow, when I can shoot a scene like this, for instance, we shot this from above. And by the way, this is unretouched, straight out of camera. This is an incredible image. I think this was shot by David Giesbrecht. And what we did was we actually, I've shot this type of scene before, and shooting cars is super tough, super tough. So what you know, when we're doing something like that and we're creating a, you know, a car scene, we also have to get from the right vantage point, right? So from the right vantage point. And the right vantage point, it can be kind of tough, because if you're shooting from, you know, from right from the side, you get the side of the car, and it's beautiful in a scene like this. This is a great scene, right? You know, when we're shooting a scene like this is great. I love it. I think this is a really wonderful perspective here. But when we want to shoot something getting kind of a little bit more of the car, I think with a convertible, the best way to shoot this is from above. So we actually went up on a ladder. We had like an 8-foot ladder, had my assistants holding it, and then had the photographer, in this case, David Giesbrecht, he, you know, climbed up the ladder and was shooting down at this. I think this was like a 24 to 70 millimeter lens, and capturing that moment. Very, very challenging to do. And a lot of the photographers actually made a lot of errors when shooting this, not shooting it with the right perspective, getting weird angles. But this was really important to get right. Because to me, this is a quintessential image. You know what I mean? This one is like, wow, this should go, David, on the front of your portfolio book. This is something that it just screams like James Bond or like Mad Men. It just has this like, wow, it's like iconic. And it has impact. It has so much impact. And I love that. That's what we're going for. It's amazing to have that kind of impact. And what I love is I want photography with impact, because that is absolutely what we're going for. That's what the clients want. They want to see impact. They want to see something that just pops off the screen and gets you excited. And that's what David created. And so did Hans, so did Martika Gartman, so did all the other amazing photographers at that sold out workshop. It was an experience of a lifetime. But when producing it, which a lot of them weren't even realizing, David probably had no idea all the details of what we did and what we had to go through behind the scenes, depending on the heat, depending on the weather conditions, the location, all of the coordination, all of the little details. And then the other thing too, guys, is to get the gear. You know, we're shooting with giant 8x8 foot scrims and bounces. And to have that equipment, luckily we had an amazing sponsor called Magnanimous Media out of Chicago. They are by far the best production rental house in Chicago. And we're able to they're providing all kinds of incredible equipment, from continuous daylight balance hot lights that we use on the equestrian shoot day to the, and also actually on this vintage day when we're shooting indoors, to all the C-stands, the giant 8x8 scrims, bounces, and all of the other kind of grip gear and production gear that we had on set. It was amazing. And having a company like Magnanimous there to provide all that equipment, it was awesome, because you can't do a shoot like this without that huge scale production. Otherwise, especially in the heat, when it's 93 degrees out, and humid, the models are melting. Right now in LA, it's like 121 degrees. Like it's been like that this last few days, and it's just, models will melt. It's just, you have to be very mindful, very, very aware of, how your models are feeling. Okay, guys. So definitely start to think about that. I want it, because when we're producing, we're shooting a Mad Men vintage story, I also want to make sure the models are going to look the part. Right? So what I mean by that is I want to cast the right models. And this is one of the most important facets of any photo shoot whatsoever, is model casting. And this is what almost every single one of you guys on this webinar probably have run into challenges at one point. Maybe you worked with a model that didn't show up or wasn't as good as you thought, or maybe they weren't a top agency model and they were a model out of Model Mayhem or something like that, or you found them on Instagram. They're not dependable. And a lot of times, unless the model is a world-class top supermodel that's been in Vogue and Vanity Fair and Harper's Bazaar and been in huge ad campaigns, it's I don't know if that's something, if they're not a top-tier model, I don't know if it's worth having in your book. Because having top-tier talent in your book changes everything. Okay, and I know I mentioned this on some of the webinars in the past, but listen, your portfolio is only as strong as your weakest image. And your weakest image is only as strong as the weakest model in the image. Okay, so the models are literally everything. And I want to make sure that you guys have the right models, that you have the right production team, the hair, the makeup, the wardrobe, the top models, the equipment, the location, all of the details. Everything out there is absolutely critical, right? To have, the amazing, amazing production. And I want to make sure that when you guys are thinking about this, I want you guys to think about, okay, what do you need? What do you need? And I'm going to also, launch a poll here. What do you need to improve about your portfolio? Is it the top models in my imagery? Is it access to full-scale photographic productions? Is it better imagery overall, just in general? Is it styling, fashion, makeup, hair, and props? Is it more portfolio cohesion? That means how the portfolio kind of works together in a 40 image cohesive piece that all works in conjunction. Is it about, improving your lighting skills, right? If you want to improve lighting skills and be a master at lighting. Do you want to improve video production to accompany your still imagery, which, by the way, our amazing panelists, we had, if you guys remember, those who attended, we had the amazing, the owner of a top photography agency in Chicago, Simone Friend, the owner of Friend & Johnson, which is one of the top agencies in Chicago. And she was there as one of our key panelists to discuss what do clients look for. And she's been an agent for 30 years for photographers. And do you know what she said? She said, you guys, every single client I ever talk to says, Simone, do your photographers do video? Every single one of them. Okay, so that's kind of telling. So if an agent that's been an agent for 30 years and has been the top agent in Chicago this entire time, you know what? If they're saying that they need video, they're needing video. I believe that, okay? That's amazing. And I want to make sure that you guys are also, building a high-end video reel in addition to your photographic portfolio, because I think that's super important, right? And, and so, by the way, I'll showcase who I'm talking about. Friend & Johnson, this is a top-tier photography rep in Chicago. and they rep some amazing advertising photographers. And they rep photographers, but they also do motion as well. And they rep, a bunch of different amazing artists. So when, we look at that, you can see like the kind of stuff that the different photographers that they represent. And Simone, she's a top tier agent. She books some huge campaigns. So I love, love, love having her there to actually talk about what is it that the clients are really looking for. And what they're really looking for is high level production in the portfolio. They want to see your photographic style. They want to see what you're capable of, but they also want to see high level photographic production. And that's key, having that world-class production. And that's why we're talking today about producing, because producing is critical. It is so vitally important to have amazing production at your fingertips. And that's actually why we do the workshops, so that instead of you going out and spending $40,000, $50,000 on a massive scale production, you'll actually get to walk on set and photograph a 40-image cohesive body of work and create an unbelievable portfolio that's worthy of shooting for Vogue, Vanity Fair, Harper's Bazaar, or being able to shoot a 6-figure ad campaign. So anyway, please answer those, the polls. What do you need to improve in your photography? I'd love to know. I'd love to kind of hear that. Okay. All right. I'm going to go back into this, but I also want to answer a few questions real quick here. We had a great question from Eduardo Alteran. Now, Eduardo, great to see you, buddy. Eduardo, he's also attended, I think, Eduardo, we've attended like 5 or 6 workshops with us over the years. And you are, an amazing photographer yourself. Eduardo, he asks, do you have insurance for one time of a production? Do you have a checklist during and after your production? So great question, or 2 great questions. So Eduardo, insurance, critical for photographers. Absolutely critical. Absolutely do I have insurance. I actually use a company called Hiscox Insurance, and there's a lot of them out there, but you could also get it through State Farm, Farmers, whatever. They also have specific companies that only handle photographers. Those though that I've run into generally are really, really overpriced. I personally work with a company called Hiscox, and I recently even had a big claim because I had during COVID I had about $75,000 worth of my photography equipment stolen right out of my storage facility. Somebody broke into it, sawed off the lock, and stole like $75,000 worth of stuff a few months ago. But what was great is Hiscox, they covered it all, so it was great, and and it's inexpensive. I think it cost me like maybe $400 a year, something like that. It's cheap. I would get liability insurance. I would also get equipment coverage. So, and then with liability insurance, your locations, for instance, if it's a studio or an epic location, just like this 12,000 square foot estate we're just showing you, when you're shooting there, they're going to require them to be a certificate holder, Eduardo, on your insurance, your liability insurance. And all you have to do, once you get your liability insurance policy, which is super cheap, you just contact your company and say, hey, I want to make this gentleman, this, David Barda, who's the, location owner, I'm going to have you as the certificate holder. And I put his name and stuff, and they'll do it. They'll issue a certificate for the days that you'll be there. And now they're covered. And that way they're covered for like $2 million liability. He also asked, Eduardo asked, do you have a checklist before, during, and after production? Eduardo, I kind of do. I've got like, I have like production notes that I have in, and I kind of like I have it built up over all of my productions over the years, over the last, 15 years, kind of in consecutive order. But I have a production list of who are my assistants, my stylists, who are the styling assistants, where are the locations, who are the location owners, what are their contact numbers, the models that we work with, the modeling agencies, their Instagram handles, all the little details. And then also, if I have something to do, I need to book the caterer, I need to book this, this, and this, and this. I want to make sure that I have all of those details in line, because there's a lot of little facets, Eduardo, to putting on a production. And that's why it's really complex, and it's also super expensive. Okay. All right. So, all right. Another quick question here I want to get to is from Mandy Harwell. Mandy asks, Atlanta is dubbed the new Hollywood for filming movies and Netflix. And that's because, yeah, you're right, Mandy. because Tyler Perry just opened up one of the biggest studios in the world there in Atlanta. She says, are any of you noticing fashion and editorial photography production making the same transition? No, it's certainly never going to go to Atlanta. Although there are fashion models in Atlanta, there are production services there. We have a workshop in Atlanta in May that we are doing. It's not on our website, but we are booking photographers for that. We did one last year at Chateau Elan, and it was mind-blowing what we shot in Atlanta. So and we did both fashion and we did lifestyle photography at the that epic workshop. In fact, if you guys want to see, there's a gentleman that that attended that one that I'll show you guys his work. His name is Randy Perrietti. He's also enrolled in an upcoming workshop. I think he's coming to the Denver workshop, but he attended this one. And this was the lifestyle section that he attended, but we shot this in Atlanta. And we did have amazing production services because the models were striking, the styling was impressive, and all aspects of the production were fabulous. So I work in Atlanta as well, but these images were shot in California at the workshops, but this was also Atlanta, right? So it was it was pretty fabulous. This as well had a lot of diversity, and I mean this is straight out of a Coca-Cola campaign, which was fantastic. In answer to your question, there are production services in Atlanta. There are also ad agencies and there are projects there, but Atlanta is still a much more minor market. The real markets are essentially New York. For fashion, it's generally New York, Milan, Paris, Los Angeles. And New York is kind of the center of it all. A lot of the top fashion models come from Milan and Paris. And then Los Angeles also, there's fashion. LA also and New York are really, really, really heavy on advertising. I would say New York more fashion and LA a little bit heavier on the lifestyle side. Miami is also another big market, really big for swim, really big for advertising, also some fashion, but it's very seasonal. We also have an epic workshop in Miami in November with shooting with Sports Illustrated swimsuit supermodels down there in November. That one's been incredible. That one's been totally sold out, but we do have a waiting list for that one. And then Chicago, which we were just at last week, and Chicago's another major market. It's not at the same level of what you see in New York and LA, but it's kind of the next year now. Yeah. So, but excellent questions. I love it. Now, what I would like to get to next is I'd like to talk to some of our photographers here that we have on here. So David, I know David Giesbrick, we were just talking about you and we're showing off your amazing photographs. Now, David, this is your first workshop with us, wasn't it? Oh, I think you're muted. There you go.
Hey, Kevin, good to see you. Yes, it was.
You attended a virtual workshop with us a few months back, and then you seemed like you had a good experience and you wanted to do the real thing. So you came to the workshop in Chicago, and then you also then signed up for a workshop in New York. Now, I'd love for you to tell us about, kind of like what you were expecting, because I know a lot of these photographers on here that they're on here that, that some of them know us, a lot of them don't. I guess maybe what were kind of some of your concerns and what were you thinking about ahead of time? And then what was it really like at that experience?
Oh, yes. So coming off being a virgin to the whole system and having done other workshops, I was, of course, wondering about the logistics, what exactly would you have, on hand, the production value, the talent, all these things come into question, and actually how much shooting time, each photographer would have during the period, and how that, just basically logistics of that and how that would all work out, and try and get some of these great images, because the galleries look great. There's lots of stuff, so obviously the production value is there, but it was just a matter of how would that all work out on the day.
Excellent. Okay, and then what did you see? What was your experience when you were there?
Oh, it's great. Had a great team. Girls were amazing. I was totally blown away by Chicago and the talent that is actually there. And, the location was awesome. Everything was laid out. It was, easy as pie. All you had to do was show up.
And you're in New York, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so you're a New York photographer, and you came out to the Chicago workshop. And quite honestly, I mean, David, you know, you're a really talented photographer. I mean, you've shot for House of Cards with like Kevin Spacey. I mean, you shot some major projects, and you're, you know, a very successful photographer. You work with major networks, right?
Yeah.
Which networks do you work with?
I've had them all as my client. CBS, Fox, NBC. You know, of course, some of the cable networks. You know, done stuff for HBO, and of course, you know, Netflix, Amazon. You know, had some studio work too with you know, Columbia and Paramount.
Absolutely, and your work's amazing. I mean, you're a super talented photographer, and I knew that from the get-go. I mean, you're successful. You have an eye, a photographic eye, and what's challenging about what you do, David, is that if you're shooting on these set stills, they're beautifully lit, but they're lit for cinema cameras. They're not lit for photographers. It's
Sure.
a different type of lighting. And, you know, so, and you don't have a lot of time, you know, you have a big production set, you have very limited times. You have to jump in there, you have to shoot it and jump out. So it takes a really talented photographer to do that. So you have a lot of talent, and you're, you know, used to working in the entertainment industry, but it sounds like you really wanted to take it up a notch, right? To be able to produce your own massive scale productions and land like 6-figure ad campaigns, right?
Yes. Oh, it's like, you know, as with anything, you know, you get to a certain level, and you know, I've done works with some great people, I've been on some, you know, great projects. But even on a show like House of Cards, you know, they have, you know, I got to meet Frank Okenfels for the second time, because who's coming in to shoot their marketing campaign work? You know, it's a photographer of that statue, and you know, just you know, I wanted up my level, wanted to be, you know, one of the guys that they're calling on to, you know, come in and do the marketing and publicity material for, you know, a show like House of Cards, or you know, Prodigal Son, which I, you know, have done some editorial stuff on, but you know, I like to get the bigger paycheck.
Absolutely. So now, you know, you wanted to kind of take that portfolio up a notch with high level production, as to kind of like be at the same status of where you're at here with House of Cards and everything, but to do it with your own production, advertising level and fashion level. So, you know, with what you shot at the workshop, you know, was there a certain scene or was there a certain moment that just really got you like just wowed and dazzled about what you were able to, like, would like something just really pop out for you?
I think every day there was a magical moment of a shot that really turned out. You know, having the three girls on the hill with, you know, all the styling and everything, you know, kind of look at it when you just come out there and go, well, what's this going to look like? What actually, you got all the players and the talent all coming together. You know, had some shots that totally blew me away that I didn't expect would come from that. And then to, you know, bring in the red Corvette, which is, you know, a vintage car, easy peasy. Now the tough part was, you know, how do you make that look good? What's a, you know, a good angle and something that speaks? And, you know, for me, I'm competing with, you know, I've seen great DPs line stuff up on set. I want to be, you know, producing at that same level and getting that kind of same feeling with my personal work that I would actually on any other set.
Absolutely. And you know what, David, you accomplished it. You walked away, you know, creating this massive scale, you know, cohesive portfolio with world-class top talent and production. So you should be super proud. You know, this is, you've got some breathtaking images here, and I can see your style. So, you know, what I love about this and what I love about the workshops is that, you know, we have a group of photographers there, but everybody's photography looks different. And David, you shot with your sense of style. You shot with your sense of vision. And what I love is the story that you're able to tell here. You know, this is a very dynamic story ready for publication, and it correlates. And this is just from one day. This is just one out of the 4 days of the workshop. Yeah. So, you know, me personally, David, I mean, I think this is probably my favorite. I'm in love with this scene. I just love the tonality on the car. I love the solar flare coming in. I love the girls. I love the styling that Chelsea was able to pull off. You'll also notice some of the production side guys, the makeup and the hair. This is critical, especially on a 93-degree day. David, I don't even think you retouched like hardly any of this, and yet it looks so perfect out of camera because the makeup and hair was so wonderful. It was so perfect. Everything was so perfect. And that is really special. So what he was able to do is create unbelievable images without even having to do retouching. Because as you know, the more pure it is straight out of camera, the better it's going to look overall. And the less work, the less stuff you have to do, which is awesome. So I'm excited. I think that, what you created was mind blowing, and it's kind of the next step. And I'm going to see you in New York next week, and we're going to create, even more spectacular images with world-class top supermodels out of New York. So that's going to be really exciting. And you know what, guys, thank you, David. And if you guys are interested in learning a little bit more about producing, or or also setting up, reviewing your portfolio, our photographic consultants are on hand here, and I know David Giesbrecht has spoken to them, and kind of it's helped a lot, and to kind of like develop his essentially vision of where he's going, reviewing his work, and going further. There's a link in the chat, and I would love it if you guys would click on that. There's a link in the chat, and it's a setup a dedicated private portfolio review with one of our elite photographic consultants. And I would really love it if you guys would go ahead and click on that and set up an appointment this week, ideally over the next couple days, because we're going to be pretty slammed next week while we're in New York directing that epic fashion workshop. So I'd really love it if you guys could do it, over the next couple days would be great. But go ahead and click there, and please just go ahead and set up an appointment, a free photographic producing consult. And if there's something, you have extra questions, or there's something that you want to know more about, our team can help you with that, because they're experts in the field. And if it's something they can't answer, I can jump on as well, because I'm here to help you guys personally. And I've worked with you guys pretty in depth. I know I've worked a lot with you, David. I've worked a lot with you, Hans, who's on right now, and Martika Gartman, who's on. Martika, I've worked with you now for goodness, it's been like 5 years. We've done like 9 workshops, and you've created some just mind-bending work and have completely transformed yourself. In fact, Martika, I'm so proud of what you're doing, because I don't know if you can put on your video, because I'd love to see your face. I want to talk to you, Martika, because you attended Chicago last week, and it was unbelievable. And I know you're coming to another workshop coming up in 2021. But Martika, when I started working with you, you were a little newer to photography, weren't you? You came from a different industry, and you'd been doing photography, but you got really serious about it when you contacted me. This is back in like 2014, 2015. And you were like, Kevin, you're charging like a couple $100 a photo shoot, and you really wanted to take it up a notch. You wanted to be a better photographer. You wanted to make more money. Well, that's what you told me anyway. And you started taking our workshops in Chicago. You did the master class. You did Miami Beach. You did Dallas. You did the Dallas workshop. You've done them all over the country with us, and you've created an incredible body of work. But Martika, just recently, you talked to me about, due to the images and what you've learned and what you've gained at the workshop, you just landed a $25,000 opportunity last week because of that. And, and I would love for you to talk about, how the workshops are able to prepare you to get that opportunity.
Well, first of all, you got to have the images that back up what you want to do and what you want to become. And that gives you instant credibility. Going to the locations that Kevin chooses just kind of bring things up to such a high level that you can't help but succeed with the images in your portfolio. So then when Kevin helps you select the images to showcase in your portfolio, then that elevates your work even more. So then Kevin in the winter started doing some marketing things and recommending some people. And I used one guy and got about $14,000 from that guy. And then this opportunity that came up recently was actually through bark.com, which is pretty amazing. I've gotten some pretty decent work from that. So don't throw away thumbtack.com and bark.com, because there's work to be found there. But having the images from the workshop just give me a level of credibility and gave me confidence that I didn't have before.
Are you there, Martika?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep. So It gave you a great deal of confidence, and it gave you a body of work, didn't it?
Yes, Definitely, definitely. So then, with my background being in law and politics, with a lot of corporate clients, they like seeing that I can deal with all kinds of people. I was a lobbyist before, so I'm really good with people. And it just gave this client that hired me, it's a confidential thing, a bit of confidence in the fact that they knew, one, I could keep confidences, and two, that I had a reputable company that I used to lobby for, State Farm. So all those things together with the photographic currency that Kevin helps you create, it just works. And then the marketing works. You just have to keep with it. So I'm really thankful for the opportunities I've gained through working with Kevin.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And you've done a lot of really incredible stuff over the years, and it's really catapulted your photographic, portfolio. Is there a certain, I know you have multiple websites, Martika. Which website could I pull up that showcases the most of the best work that you've done at the workshop?
MartikaGartman.com.
Okay, great. And I like what you've done because you also have different brands, and I know we've talked about that. We have different types of brands for what we do, different types of photography. And, if you're doing consumer and stuff and commercial, it's good to separate the two. And Martika has done a good job of that. So, in fact, I think you did this at one of the Los Angeles workshops.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
These are both Abercrombie models, by the way, the two male models. Yeah. And it was unbelievable. This was at the Miami Beach workshop with us. This was Chicago. So she's done a bunch of lifestyle stuff. And the lifestyle stuff, this is the stuff that really makes your money. And I know, Martika, you focused a lot more on this. This is also the fashion work. She did this at the Elite Masterclass in Los Angeles. This is, I think, your first Elite Masterclass. So
Yeah.
That's amazing. We shot at the U.S. Olympic Training Facility for equestrian. And I want to talk about this a little bit because, another logistical challenge. We talked about, the topic of this webinar is about producing with equestrian and also vintage. And this workshop specifically, and this was another equestrian one, by the way. These ones don't have horses in them per se, but we did shoot with horses on that day. Now, when we shot at these workshops, this one, when we shot equestrian, the challenge is that they brought in a lot of equestrian centers. They have fancy horses. This was like $500,000 horses we had at this location. But when you shoot with really intense horses like that are really expensive and fancy, they're really overprotective and they're really high strung. So they were really difficult to deal with. And a lot of times they don't want the models to get on the horses. They won't allow it due to liability. They certainly won't ever let you fly a drone anywhere near a horse, right? But what was cool, in Martika, you got an opportunity to do this with me. We actually got to shoot with drones with the horses in Chicago last week, which was awesome. By the way, this was another Chicago workshop we did. This is an amazing location. This was in Miami Beach with us. And so she's created some really, really incredible stuff. This was Texas. And this is some of the more fashion stuff from that masterclass. And also Chicago. It was amazing. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful work. So when we're shooting with horses, though, a lot of times these equestrian centers are not necessarily the most comfortable, right? So when we're shooting with horses, it can be a challenge. And it can be kind of complex because what we're doing is we're in this environment that's kind of, it's usually kind of hot, kind of dusty, not really the best for our equipment. And we have to be really, really careful with that too, making sure that our equipment doesn't get destroyed, making sure that the models are comfortable around the horses. Not everybody is comfortable around horses, but that's pretty important, And what was cool is when we were shooting in Chicago, just this last last week, we were able to create some stuff that was beautiful. We shot with the horses and top models like Callie, who is she was unreal, top fashion model. Shooting with, we shot with Free People and Anthropology, some amazing wardrobe. And the horses were incredible. They were really, really, really well mannered on set. And they could just stay there and shoot. And we could shoot like this horse. We shot there, and we stand there and shot this horse for over an hour as it just stood there. And perked up, ready to go. And we got some amazing content out of it, right? And even more amazingly, we're able to, create some stuff where we got to shoot with the models on top of the horses, riding the horses. And I thought that was really special as well. So I think, for instance, Hans, I think this was one of yours, right? I don't know if Hans is on or muted. Oh, he's muted. Yeah. I'm going to unmute you now. Okay. Hans, I think your microphone's muted. Yeah. Anyway, Hans attended both the Newport Beach workshop in July and then also the Chicago workshop. But this is a complex scene to shoot. We're shooting, it's like 90 degrees out. It's hot and uncomfortable, but I wanted to find the right angle, which was backlit. That's always going to be my favorite angle, is shooting backlit. I love the solar flare. I brought in giant 8x8 foot mounts and created a beautiful light on the models and also on the horse. And then also got from the right vantage point. When you're shooting horses, a lot of photographers make the mistake of shooting way, way, way too low. They get way too low and they shoot the horse and they look kind of funny. We want to make sure we get higher. When we're shooting with horses, I like to be at a pretty high vantage point. So right here, you see how high I got. Hans got. I think he's very tall, so he could have been standing maybe on an apple box. A lot of photographers also stood on a ladder, and it looked amazing. So anyway, and guys, please you guys, I'm getting a lot of messages in the chat, which I love, and in the Q&A. But I would love for you to book a free photographic consult. You can ask all of your additional questions on there, and it's going to be in the chat. And so please go ahead and click that, set up a free consult, and then you can talk to our team on that. So anyway, love the models, love the hair, the makeup, the wardrobe, the horse. And also, too, I was able to convince the equestrian center to allow us to shoot bareback, which a lot of them will not do because it's not as safe. So we got them to shoot with the model bareback on the horse without all the tack other than the bridle. And then also the model's not wearing shoes, which is also, I had to talk them into that because, it's kind of a safety thing. You don't want them stepping on somebody's foot and everything. So there's a lot of details for aesthetic purposes that I was going for that worked out really well. And I also, shot these sequences with drones and with Ronin as well. So Hans, talk to me about this. Now you attended the Newport Beach workshop. You came and spoke about it afterwards, and then you attended the Chicago experience. Tell me about your experience and what you did in Chicago.
Well, this was my second workshop with you in Chicago, and I'm a more portrait and headshot photographer, and I have a studio here in Dana Point, Southern California, and I don't want to change anything. And I love to having people in front of my camera, and I love shooting models, and I was thinking about fashion and lifestyle. And my first incredible experience was this workshop in Newport. It was so mind-blowing for me. So I say, yeah, I wanted to do more. I wanted to shoot more lifestyle. I wanted to improve my portfolio. And I talked to your agents you invited over there. And they give me hope. They give me hope and they like my pictures and go on. Now it's the time to do it. Now it's COVID. Yeah, you can improve all your skills and your portfolios in workshops and starting through in 2021. So I booked Chicago and the other next week for New York too, as a fashion workshop. And Chicago was incredible for me. It was, I don't know, this property, this models and all this styling with a car, with a bar down in this beautiful house. We did so many, had so many scenes and so many possibilities to improve our skills and portfolio. It was unbelievable. The only thing was it was pretty hot, it was 93 degrees, but the models, yeah, were unbelievable. They were very professional. They were all the time working 8 hours a day and sweating and getting new clothes, getting new makeup and new hairstyle. It was amazing for me and for, I think, for us, for David, Martika, and everybody who was there. It was really incredible. So you just show the video with a drone. This is another thing, a very important thing for me, getting more in this video shooting and this movie, because I think if you want to be successful in advertising business, fashion, or lifestyle shooting, you need to have the skills for shooting a good video too. This is very important. I shot my first videos over there by myself, and because I had a possibility to choose one model with a horse by myself, while the other photographers were shooting the drone, and I had fun with it, yeah. And I can't wait for New York to shoot some more videos, because I think it's part of the business. It's part of the future business, especially the camera market follows all these things, and the DSLRs and the mirrorless cameras getting better with video. It's more, you need the skills. And when I saw David is a master in video, and I enjoyed follow him and watching him, how he was shooting and producing videos, or same like you, Kevin. And I only can say thank you. It was a great experience for me, and I think it's getting better and better. And 2021 is my year. Yeah, I wanna start through.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's interesting, Hans, you mentioned it keeps getting better and better. It's important to us. It's really important to us that, you know, not only are these workshops mind-blowing experiences, but every single one that we do, we try to outdo ourselves, which is kind of hard to do when you've directed 122 of these elite workshops. But it's, you know, it's not easy to continuously improve them and make them better and better and better. But I strive for excellence. And I want to make sure that our photographers have, you know, the greatest experience of a lifetime. So, you know, Hans, you know, it's like I'm incorporating new things. I'm creating new moments. I'm, you know, providing, you know, scenes like dynamic sequences like this, you know, and we're shooting, and we shot, and by the way, this is just the drone footage, but we also shot in 4K with our SLRs on Ronins, sliders, and tripods, and we created amazing moments. So we shot everything with drone, with sliders, with Ronins, and it was unbelievable. You know what we shot at this location. Yeah, there you can see. You can see where we're all at. But it was a really, really, really incredible opportunity, and it's great. And what he said of, you know, going and creating amazing content with video. I think specifically what you were talking about was there was a great scene, Hans, where you were posting up and shooting just you and this one top model with this gorgeous horse and creating this really, really great moment, which I think you've got that footage on your camera. But it was just
on my camera. It's in the Dropbox, the 4 movies.
Okay, great. Really beautiful content that you created of with shooting with your on a tripod with a long lens on a slider, and it was absolutely you know, breathtaking, you know, what you created. So when we get to go through that content, you know, it's like kid in a candy store when you're able to create stuff at that level. That's that incredible. That's that good. Awesome. Was there a certain scene that you just fell in love with, Hans, that you're just like, oh my gosh, this knocked it out of the park for me?
I love shooting with light, you know that. So I love shooting. I love the scene inside the house, in the bar. And the other was a lifestyle shooting with a girl. That's the second day. This was for me on this hill, this light, the natural light, the emotions over there. It was really mind blowing. Yeah, the girls.
You're talking about on the hill when we're shooting lifestyle with like the free people story.
Shooting lifestyle, yeah. Although when this car signed up, this old Corvette, this from the 60s, and I had the possibility to drive such a car the first time.
Yeah. And you were a professional Porsche race car driver in Germany. That's saying a lot coming from you. This is the scene that you were talking about, the lifestyle boho. I mean, this is straight out of a Free People advertising campaign.
This was we had this model on the right. What's her name? Kathleen, right?
Yeah, Callie. She was unreal.
Yeah.
Just
she was unreal. She was there all the time. Yeah, and if you see her on the different scenarios, you don't even recognize her anymore.
It's totally different. Yeah, completely different.
She was super professional, and all the models were super professional. And I really say, Chelsea did one of the greatest jobs ever. If you see this different wardrobe in every scene, and the color, blue, red, all this shining colors, it was really amazing. Yeah, you guys did such a great job in the selection of clothes and models and scenarios and location. This was really a wonderful time. And the most important thing in the moment is that everything was really safe with COVID.
Absolutely, and that's important. We were very safe.
Very important thing in the moment, because maybe probably have to live a couple of months or years with this problem. But in the beginning, we measuring temperatures, and I got a test. I came back Saturday, I think, and I got tested on Monday, and I'm negative. Yeah, because it was really safe over there. Yeah. And I'm working with people, and so I want to make sure that I'm not COVID positive. Yeah, I don't want to infect someone, and so I was very sure that I didn't get COVID ever during this time, because it was really safe. Everybody wore a mask, and I can only say this is the time to do it during COVID. These workshops in a small group, in a safe environment, with incredible models, with an incredible instructor cabin. This is awesome. This is the best experience in my life.
Oh, well, that means the world to me. And you know what, Hans? I'm really excited, because I just want to give you guys a sneak peek of what we're going to be doing in New York next week. We had a few photographers that are not able to come and had transferred to other workshops. But what I do have to show is one of the locations that we just confirmed. It's the most epic location I think we've ever shot at anywhere at any workshop. It's the castle. So it's literally a castle designed to be identical to King Henry VIII's palace from the 1500s. And it's on like, I don't even know, it's like 70 acres or something. And it is just an unbelievable location that is just mind blowing. And we have full access to shoot throughout this entire property. So we're going to be here next week on one of the shooting days, and it is going to be absolutely spectacular. Wow. So please, guys, I put up a poll here. Which photographic workshop you guys interested in attending? Please go ahead and respond to that. And if New York is one that you're interested in, it was sold out for like 6 months, and it just opened up. So there's a couple spots that just opened up, and we could, squeeze you guys in there. It's going to be very COVID safe, and it's going to be out in Long Island at this, doing just mind-bending photography. So if you guys, want to take advantage of that, it is going to be a really, really, really unbelievable experience, because locations like this, and then it's New York, so we're shooting with top supermodels. Last year, we worked with girls from the Versace campaign, from Vogue, from Vanity Fair, and it was, you know, without a doubt, one of the most insane workshops that we do of the year, because it is New York, and we get the creme de la creme de la creme of talent. The models are just absolutely mind-blowing at the New York workshop experience. So you guys are interested, you know, let us know. And it's something that, you know, Hans, you guys would meet Hans there. David's going to be there. And we're very selective about, you know, what the experience is going to be like. We want to make sure that we're going to provide a world-class experience of a lifetime for you guys. It's really, really important. And that's why I'm able to pull strings and pull locations like that, you know, they're not easy. They're not easy to find locations like that. Trust me. But I'm able to pull it off because of my relationships, because of I have all these connections, and producing something like that, it's extremely, extremely complex. But you know, and during the workshop, we're going to get really in depth about how to make this happen and how to shoot fashion at the highest level and to be able to produce mind-bending content. So, in fact, this is actually the New York experience, and it's unbelievable. In fact, that's actually this location, and then this was shot there last year. This was actually featured as a cover of Vintage New York City magazine by Veronica Jankowski. We shot with a supermodel who's been in Vogue, Yana Pronoskaya. So we actually have a lot of also like wedding and portrait photographers come to this one as well, because obviously if you can shoot something like this, wedding clients go bananas for you. And then something even more incredible, this was shot at this location. I'm in love with this, you know, this type of story. Super dramatic, looks incredible in black and white. Just a really, really spectacular story. So, you know, to show you location, what we're going to be creating, and just imagine working on set of a $60,000 a day production and having everything at your fingertips to create the greatest images of your lifetime. That's really what it's about. So if you guys are interested in any of these workshops, we have some incredible ones. Not only coming up in New York, we have Napa Valley, which is happening in early October. And then we have our Elite Masterclass in late October. That one's been sold out. I think there's a waiting list on the Masterclass and also Miami Beach, but it is unbelievable. And then we are going to have the Newport Beach experience in February. I know Hans attended that one, and it was absolutely breathtaking. It was unreal. We shot with 8K red cinema cameras, filming high-end commercial production. And then also our Denver workshop, which is in March. That's another one that I think it's either sold out or has one spot left. That's a really popular one. We're gonna be shooting like a winter wonderland story at that one in Denver. So if you guys are interested, you know, please, I'd love it. I mean, I think we've got, I don't know, like 100 people on this webinar. So, but we only have like 25 people that have responded to this. I'd love for you guys to share with me which one you guys would be interested in, which workshop. So please go ahead and answer that and let us know. You know, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. If you do want to get a photographic consult, free photographic consult, you can do that. Go over your portfolio, talk about producing, talk about being able to shoot at the highest level. Also, if you have any questions on your developing your photographic portfolio with our workshops, go ahead and click on the link in the chat there as well. So awesome, guys. All right, so I'd love to hear from some of our amazing other panelists here. We've got the great Chelsea Frank. I know she's had a lot of comments so far. Chelsea, I don't know, I can't see you yet, but if you want to unmute and video yourself. And Dan, I'm also going to ask you some questions here in a sec too. Chelsea, I know I just talked about New York and I showed some locations. I don't know if you have anything you can show, or if you want me to share the Pinterest boards. I'd love to showcase kind of some of the vision of what we're doing for New York and some of the fashion inspiration.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I'm like doing my hair. Yeah, so, you know, Kevin and I have been working together for quite some time. And first and foremost, you know, I am your photographic consultant, and I really care about what your guys' vision is as well. And feel free to storyboard with us. And, you know, for example, Kevin, you know, you had with that gorgeous parachute shot, that was actually one of the photographer's ideas, and it turned out to be published multiple times. And that's just what we want. We want you guys to be happy. We really want you guys to take your creative endeavors to the next level. So I'm gonna actually share my screen. If
He's
that's
referring to this image, by the way. This was shot at our last Elite Masterclass with Velena from Vogue, and it got featured in Photo Nostrum magazine out of Barcelona. It published 5 of our photographers in the editorial.
And
So
as well, that circus, that was another photographer's idea. So
it
this,
was.
like
Yeah,
that
LA Circus.
the avant-garde kind of, so that's just, you know, cool. Like we love to work with you guys. We want to help you, you know, catapult your career, make your portfolio the best that it can be, and most importantly as well, have your business and marketing down. But as far as the fashion, yeah, I've been working with Kevin for the Newport, the Chicago, now the Newport. We're going to be doing Miami and a few things. So I've kind of devised a plan. But Kev, can I share my screen or?
Please do, yeah.
Okay, hold on one second. It said you disabled the.
You should be able to share. You're not able to share?
No, it said host disabled attendee share screen.
Okay. Here, let me see if I can change that.
I have a few designers that I've been talking to different showrooms all over New York City. I've been looking into various, you know, garments.
Okay.
And
Kelsey, go ahead. I just made you the host.
okay, one second.
Actually, why don't you shift it back me real quick, the host.
Okay.
Okay. Are you able to share your screen now?
You know what? I just got that new laptop, so it's giving me like all these kinds of. Hold on. Let me.
Okay.
No. Hold on.
I can share that.
I could just you know, if you want to pull up the like Durdoux, like DURDOUX, if you want to share that.
Can you say it again?
DURDOUX, Durdoux.com.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you're gonna have to make me host again. Okay, so yeah, so Durdoux, some really over the top and elegant.
Right. And so this is like more of the high end, avant-garde kind of couture type of stuff that we're looking into, that we're in contact with. A lot of the times I go on Instagram, I'll just really, you know, like in the middle of the night, I'll just look at various designers, stuff that is for like, you know, simple to free people. And with Michaela Alicio Bay, she had these amazing bag designs. She's developing everything for the next Newport Beach workshop. I'm looking into several, you know, stuff from Miami. And in New York, I'm just talking to several showrooms. If you go to like, what I did was I, you know, did my market research. I did the top 5 showrooms in New York City and Manhattan. And I just contacted all of them, and I was in contact with them. And basically we were talking with each other, and they were very interested in, it's called pulling. So basically you go into the showroom, you pull the designs, and you kind of create this full look. And what Hans was saying, he said, you know, for that, that shot, that boho shot with the pink and the white and the aqua dress, it's all about, you know, color coordination, having the proper necklace and the proper model wear the proper thing, because you can't just put like a red dark dress with the aqua. It just doesn't make sense. But so it's really about having the eye for the art. of doing, and it's very, very important. And we go through Kevin's Pinterest. I have 2 assistants that are working with me right now, and
some inspiration for some of the in-studio stuff.
Yeah.
In fact, some of this is my work as well. So this gives you some ideas of kind of what we're going to be, we're working on for fashion inspiration for the in-studio side, which is going to be day 1 and day 2. And then day 3 and day 4 are going to be on location. Our vision is essentially it's going to be this kind of style for in studio. We're going to be shooting long lens, highly lit, very dramatic, spectacular stuff, just like we're shoot like a high-end fashion lookbook, like a $30,000 lookbook for a client. So all, kinds of high-end designers, and then also poses like this, getting really amazing poses that, knock out of the water. And they only work when you work with supermodels that have, they're 5'10", they have the perfect bodies, they're 00, they have that kind of look and feel. That's really, really important when it comes to it. So, Chelsea's got a team working on it. And then we have also for kind of like the upscale editorial on location. It's almost kind of elegant with almost like a almost a Polo Ralph Lauren kind of touch to it at the castle.
Yeah, I'm looking into like high-end kind of equestrian type of designers to have that Ralph Lauren, like that photo with Kevin, if you go up that black and white photo.
This one?
That male model, yeah, kind of like.
Yeah, this is shot at the workshop, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's gorgeous.
Yeah, this was shot at our workshop at the Marvin Gaye Mansion Estate in Los Angeles.
Yeah, so we're looking into like a plethora of different designs, having you guys have the best photographs that you could have, and video and drone work.
This is at the location, by the way. This is at the castle.
So we work really hard. Dan worked hard. Our whole team works really hard to get you guys to have these perfect images. The location is important. The makeup artists are important. The assistants holding the equipment is important. The organization is important. Every little detail that goes into these high-end productions is something that Kevin can produce to the utmost. It's just this fun, and also it's very professionally done, but also we have a lot of fun. We really try to have fun on set. We laugh, we have a good time. We're always playing music, and it's not just hard. It's very hard work. It's very intensive, and you're going to learn probably more than you would learn in a 4-year, college degree for photography, or because you're not in those schools, you're not getting high-end models, you're not getting high-end stylists, you're not getting high-end makeup artists, you're getting student work. So it's very, very professionally done. It's a high-intensity course, and David and Hans and Martika could attest to that. And it's just beautifully created. And like I said, we also have fun. There's smiles and laughs. Like when the rain came and we all ran in, but we went back out. We went back out and we just kept shooting. But it was a really funny experience as well. And there's memories created. So it's just a gorgeous experience altogether, I would say. And you're going to create the best content of your life. And 95% of our photographers come back and do it again at different locations and different styles. And
Chelsea, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I don't know any company in the world, not in the world, that has a 95% returning customer rate. 95%. So 95% of our photographers that attend our workshops take 2, 3, 4, sometimes 9, 10 workshops. There's a reason for that.
Absolutely.
It's because we take care of you guys. We're dedicated to our photographers, absolutely dedicated. And we want to make sure that you're going to have that experience of a lifetime. And we're going to give you that opportunity to create images. And that's why I'm really glad, Hans and David, like you guys are going to be there in New York. It's going to be unbelievable. So it's going to be a mind-blowing experience, because we're going to be working with these supermodels. And if any of you guys on here want to join them, it's going to be it's going to be really unreal.
Hans and David are just great. Love them. Can't wait to see you guys again.
Absolutely. Chelsea, can you make me a host again?
How do I, hold on one second. How, wait,
Click over the top of my, on my name on the top right corner.
okay. And then, oh, okay, got it.
Mhm.
All right, you're gross.
Okay, great. Perfect. So, so it starts out with inspiration, guys, and that's how we produce a shoot. We inspire. We have concepts that we derive from, and with our photographers, we like to work with you guys personally. You know, so those of you coming to the upcoming masterclass, specifically like Hans, you're going to be coming to the masterclass, and I want to make sure that you know, you're a part of the actual vision on that. I want to make sure that you actually have an opportunity to you know, to actually be there, and ahead of time, Hans, I want your vision and your inspiration to be a part of the Pinterest board. So I want to work with you personally on that intensively, because I want it to be more of you. I want it to be all about, you know, what your vision is. That's important. So, you know, and I know that after we saw this, you know, it gets exciting, right? What you get to see, it's like, oh my gosh, like this kind of fashion is amazing. And it's not an exaggeration. It's not like, oh, we aspire to do this. No, we're going to do this kind of high-end work because we're working with supermodels. We're working with the best of the best of the best. We're working with the best styling, the best production, the best everything. It's only the most high-end production imaginable. So, all right. Well, I really appreciate that. Now, Daniel Rothschild, I know you're on here as well. And, you know, and Dan, you've attended the last 2 workshops. You were there in Newport and in Chicago, along with Chelsea and Hans. And you're one of our leading photographic consultants. And I'd love to hear from you about this experience. And by the way, guys, thank you very much for answering the polls, because that means a lot to me when you answer that and you let us know which workshop experiences you are interested in. And before I get to you, Dan, I just want to show sharing the polls here. It looks like the majority of people, 38% of you want to do the Newport Beach workshop in February, and that's awesome. And then it kind of mixed throughout the rest. But there are some, you know, people that want to do New York and that want to do some of the other ones too. But fantastic. I'd love for if you guys are serious about that. We are offering a $500 discount if you guys do enroll today off of one of these workshops. If you do want to enroll in one of the 2021 workshops, we can enroll you. They go up about $500 each year, so we can enroll you at any 2021 workshop with a $500 discount plus $500 off of it being 2020 as opposed to 2021. So you're essentially going to save $1,000, and that's a pretty substantial savings. And it would be something I'd definitely recommend doing. It would be well worth it. So if you guys are interested in taking advantage of that, let us know when setting up your photographic consult, and tell your photographic consultant you want to take advantage of that. And but we got to get that done ASAP. So anyway, so Daniel, I'd love for you to talk about, you know, your experience and what it was like, and kind of like how you felt on set, and how it's kind of life-changing for our photographers.
Oh, cool. Well, first of all, Kevin, thanks for having me, and welcome everybody. Good evening, I think, to most. You know, first of all, the workshops, you know, I followed Kevin and researched him for a long time. And finally, when I went to a workshop, I realized there weren't words to explain how great they are. I know that sounds kind of corny, but the experience, and it's kind of like life is, what do we talk about to people? We tell them about our experience in life, our travels, our experiences and all that. So this is the most incredible experience. And it kind of fits the point of, when I heard about 95%, I was like, okay, well, hey, that's great. You know, and I got to the workshop, I'm like, okay, I get it. It's so real. But I think here's it's been explained beautifully how incredible our workshops are. I think one of the things we're all experiencing this year, maybe even more than others, is sometimes, you know, we as photographers, it's easy to get comfortable, maybe familiar with our work process, the way we do things, all the different details of our work. And kind of, it's easy to become complacent because it's much easier to stay the same. that which we're familiar with. And so when someone, say like Hans or David, went to the first workshop and had the, the gumption and wanting to learn and get better and advance, and they went, and it was like, once they went, it was like, oh, I get it now. So, part of what we have to do with this year being so confined is, and all through our whole life, and it's what I guess I really work with people this way and have all my life, it's helped them improve their careers, their businesses, and all of the details. We have to challenge ourselves. So the simplest quote I think I can come up with that really hits the point is, our workshops take photographers beyond themselves. On our own, we've already created what we have figured out to create so far. But it's always grinding in the back of our mind. We want to do better. We want to make more money. We want to be known better. We want more connections in our work. And so that's part of the mentoring that Kevin offers, and the whole team with everything put together, and also the great photographers that come to the workshops. It's a team experience where everyone advances in all ways. Their photography, their portfolio. What do we sell when we go to a client? We're not selling our looks and what we're wearing. We sell our photography, our portfolio. So number one, the workshop helps you achieve that. And so it helps us to step out of ourselves and become better and more advanced and get to that next tier up. That's the real simplicity of it. It takes a little bit of guts or a little bit of, and some dollars, to do it, but it changes your life. It's changed mine. It's changed every person I work with. I work with David and Hans and Martika and everybody, all the photographers, and it's a great experience. So with this year being the way it is, it's a great gift to yourself, to kind of like a vacation, but it'll jump your spirit and your mind and your excitement and help you launch 2021. Whether you do it, a workshop this year or next year at the beginning or whatever, it'll continue sparking you. And I think everyone has noticed, Kevin's a giver. He, as much as you want us to help you, we will. And that's before, during, and after a workshop. And that's the great part. It's a continual experience. So I don't know, I hope I didn't take too much time, but it's, I love the experience of what we do and the whole teamwork situation, and the watching people get better and better, and happy for it. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. And, Dan, was there, any moments when we're shooting with the horses, during the workshop that just kind of gave you a wow moment?
There were, and I got some great shots of it. So, first of all, the location, you see the fences, you see the areas where the horses run, you see a sky and it's just like, oh my gosh, colorful, and the trees and everything, and the beautiful models and the beautiful wardrobes and fashions and the horses, just the whole thing touches your soul deeply. The beauty, the natural beauty, and to be there, you're like, oh my gosh, and how do you go tell someone if you can't photo that? How do you go talk about that to someone to explain it? You don't. The photos are the best words you could ever have. And so it just was an incredible, experience. The video, the drone video, which is rare, as you said, with the horses, and watching them coming down that pathway with the fences, and it's just being there, and the whole experience was so beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I appreciate that. That's awesome, Dan. But, and by the way, I had a question from an anonymous attendee, just asked what was the investment in these workshops. And absolutely, the workshops, they range. They have anywhere from $12.95 up to $84.95 for the different sections that you want to do in New York. So let us know if if you want to take that last spot. Contact us, and we can accommodate. Absolutely. So, all right. And thank you very much, Dan. I really appreciate that. And I also want to hear from Sean. I know you commented in on some of the Q&A, and I appreciate that. But the great Sean Ashanti is actually in New York, and he'll be with us at the New York workshop because this is his hometown. He's in Brooklyn. Yeah. So, Sean, your expertise is not only in photography, but also video. You have a lot of experience in video as well. Could you talk a little bit about why that's important? So like when we were filming with Equestrian, we were shooting those epic scenes with the drones and with gimbals and stuff like that, why that's important for a photographer's portfolio and reel?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. So nuts and bolts of it is that when you're doing your portfolio, when you're doing your reel, you want anything that makes your portfolio itself pop. And when I say that, not only your photography, because we're going to see your photography, but also video. The main reason why is that, generally speaking, photography and videography, they go together. And if you can do both, or at least if you know how to direct video. So I know some people, they think, especially a lot of photographers, they think, oh, well, video, there's a whole lot to it. And yes, there is. There's a lot to video. But, if you're a photographer, you got to think about video kind of like the way you think about photography, You want to, one of my mentors, back when I first started filmmaking, you would always say that in video, you'd love to be able to stop that frame and it look like a great photo. And that's really the way I think people are coming from photography, going to videography, really need to look at it. But the most important part is actually knowing how to direct video. And now let me say this: when you're a photographer, if you're a videographer even, but if you're a photographer, then you're essentially your own CEO. You got to think about things like a business person. So you got to think, okay, if I talk to this brand, do all this legwork to talk to this brand, to talk to this company. And, you do all this legwork and, you're going to get the photography job. Great. Fantastic. What if they looked at your portfolio and they saw an epic, amazing, over-the-top video, just something that's very clean. And you can do some really amazing work with, simple DSLRs nowadays. Now, granted, if you come to one of the workshops where we bring in an 8K red helium camera, which is like, creme la creme, but you can do amazing video with even what comes out of our DSLRs nowadays. But if they see that video on your portfolio, even though you're showing them, whatever lifestyle, fashion, whatever your poison is, even if you're an architecture person, they see that video, say, oh, can you do video? Now, this is why I say you got to think you're your own CEO. So you got to think to yourself, okay, great. They're interested in video. Yes, I can. Because you've already, even if you don't feel that comfortable running a camera yourself, let's say especially if you did the workshop series and you get an idea of how to direct a fashion video editorial, then you can say, yes, absolutely. And then you price things out. You put it into your budget. How much is that DP going to cost? I already sourced a DP. Or if you don't know a DP, reach out to us. Kevin knows like 1,000 trillion directors of photography. I know a bunch of directors of photography. Heck, I am one. So, there's ways to get things done, but it can massively increase your bottom line. So when you think about video, think about something that is there's no way that video can hurt your business. And that's what you are as a photographer. You're a business, and you want to think about ways that you can capitalize on your skills, and everything that you do leading up to scoring that big photography client, can lead us way to, an additional videography payoff. So, and, when you think about photography and videography, you got to think about the billing too, especially if you're dealing with commercial, like a big brand, big campaign. Then you're looking at the usage rights and fees. And if you can get, part of the media buyout on your photography and your video, that's real money. And if you don't know what I'm talking about by media buyouts, usage rights and fees and all that, then, talk to us, come to the workshop. The Business Essentials course talks about everything that you need to know. That's the first day. First day is always Business Essentials. Everything that you need to know as far as marketing, as far as strategy, how to be your business. Because that's, as important as a great portfolio is to get you in the door and get you that work, you want to make sure that you're being paid what you are worth. And that's, I kind of went on a tangent there, but
I love it, Sean.
You're from New York. What do you do?
Gospel, man. You're speaking the gospel. I'm in love with it. And by the way, I'm showing a little bit of video footage of what we shot, of what the photographer shot at the workshop. And I just want to reiterate how challenging some of this stuff is. We're shooting on gimbals here, so we're moving with the horse. And horses get a little bit nervous around equipment, especially giant scrims and bounces, especially drones. So we have to be really mindful of that. So you want what we call a quiet horse, a horse that's very comfortable being around people and being around of equipment, because obviously I don't want the horse to like buck off the model. And then also it helps having another model like actually hold the reins and kind of walk it in. So and not only does it look sexy, but it also kind of helps the safety side of it and getting the model, getting the other horse and model, essentially in the right moment, in the right scene. So just a few little tips there. And then if we're shooting a drone, this horse was unusually easy with the drone. But with the drone, I'm going to be, flying it pretty high and away from the talent, and then bringing it in, after it's comfortable and the horse is kind of relaxed a little bit, and try not to spook it, and try not to be too jerky. If it's much more of a smooth mode, is going to be a lot easier. So Sean, you mentioned a few things about why it's important to have video in your body of work, and I think that's really really fantastic to do that, because obviously it's going to help you a lot with your photographic career. All right, now I would love to know, Sean, a lot of photographers that also shoot, maybe they're consumer photographers, they shoot portraits and weddings and stuff. How does something like the New York workshop really benefit them?
So literally, when you think about your portfolio, or just your clients, and you got to think about, if you generally just do like general people, families, whatever you're shooting, but you're on your portfolio, you put this portfolio up and it has these amazing, gorgeous pictures featuring top agency represented models. Thing is one of the other folks I work with, they're like, one of my clients saw some of, some photos, photos I've done with, models, actually she was like, yeah, some top models. She didn't take our workshop yet. And, she's like, I don't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing. And I was like, well, let me ask you this question. She's like, what? I said, did they book? I said, yeah, no, they booked. They thought the pictures were amazing, but they thought that maybe they looked too good. And I was like, but did they booked? And you didn't have a problem collecting. Actually, they probably didn't question your prices, did they? They're like, so when people tell me that they, I don't necessarily deal with big top commercial, fancy models. You gotta look at it like this. When people look at, whoever, photographer, videographer, or they're looking at pictures, generally speaking, they want to see the best stuff. They want to see the best stuff. They want to see that you've done photos that look absolutely stunning, look absolutely amazing. So honestly, if you're doing like more consumer work or commercial work, the commercial work will always assist you. Will always assist you. I mean, it looks great and it shows that you can work at that level. And what's also great is that it shows that you can work at that level. And, you know, if somebody in particularly asks you, you know, say, oh yeah, well, I would like, you know, this type of, because sometimes people come at you from, you know, consumers, especially your weddings. They want to do like some type of editorial even for their wedding editorial, you know, and, you know, then you'll see your great work that you've done. And then because they want to do this extra stuff, it gives you more room to upsell. And we talk about all that during Business Essentials, upselling, how to do your price sheet so that you can, you know, get the most out of whatever your services are. So no, it's literally, you know, if you do regular everyday photos, first thing, you know, having epic portfolio will never hurt you. Second thing is that you're going to learn some things that you probably thought you'd never try. And with the body of work that you will build, you'll have the opportunity to go commercial. And I'd say put another brand together with those photos. You can keep some on your consumer site, but have another brand for your commercial site. Because why leave money on the table? No reason to. Stretch those arms, man. Fly away. Make a career out of it.
I love it. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate that, and I want to get back to you know, a few of your guys' questions here, because you also had some good Q&A. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to ask them in the Q&A. So we have some questions about equipment, you know, or some, I should say, maybe comments and stuff like that. You know, about equipment. A lot of photographers think it's really the camera equipment that's really expensive. It's usually not. It's actually the lighting equipment. So Rakesh Malik notes, you know, the cost of lighting and grip gear adds up. Lights, stands, scrims, bounces, silks, gimbals, drones. The camera is a tiny part of it, even if you have a RED. And he's absolutely right. Even if you have a RED camera, it's all the attachments that you put on the RED camera. So, you know, just the basic brain of the camera is actually pretty minimal compared to like all the other costs. You know, even the RED helium camera we had, the setup we had on it was a $150,000 motion picture setup that we have at the Elite Masterclass, you know, and also the Newport Beach workshop. That's a pretty expensive camera, but also because of all the attachments and stuff and the lenses. But it's really the lighting equipment that adds up, and that's what we're going to have in New York, a massive amount of high-end lighting equipment, about $100,000 to pro photo gear. From beauty dishes to scrims and bounces to, you know, all the kind of different light generators we're going to have. But Rakesh, you're absolutely right. And I also recommend you guys don't waste your money on investing in equipment. Spend your money on investment in your portfolio, in workshops to develop the portfolio, and invest in your marketing. Put investment in a studio or equipment aside. It's not worth it, especially now. I also have a great comment from Gene Belitsky, who is an unbelievably talented cinematographer, and he attended our lifestyle, he attended our virtual workshop, and he, you know, and in fact, I'll even play his little clip here. He was an attendee of the virtual workshop. And you know, Gene makes a comment, you know, on here about equipment, and I think, and I like that. I mean, it's really Gene, you know, as Gene says, you know, the equipment is, it's really about essentially how you use it. You know what I mean? It's really, you know, what you're going to do to, you know, to really use the gear and to create mind-blowing content. You can shoot with any SLR camera. I prefer the 5D Mark IV because I think it shoots incredible 4K footage, and the focusing system's amazing. Obviously, they come out with some new ones, including like, you know, some 12K ones, which are insane, 8 and 12K. But I personally love the Mark IV. It has everything that I need it to do. So I think that that's really key. Now, you guys, I also, you know, feel free if you guys have any pressing questions outside of this. Also, I'd love to, you guys can talk about it, set up on the chat, go ahead and click and set up an appointment with one of our photographic consultants, and we can go more in depth about producing. I think that could also really be helpful. Terrence O'Neill asks, do you shoot black and white fashion? Absolutely. I love black and white fashion. In fact, I showed you guys some of that earlier. I'm of course going to shoot it all in RAW with full color, but oftentimes I'm going to be adjusting it in post-production to have a really spectacular black and white story. And absolutely, I think that can be amazing, especially the European fashion magazines are really, really heavy on that. Okay, another great question. Victoria Bonham says, when shooting with horses in the image, were you able to use flash? That's a great question. Typically, you want to be really careful of strobes because horses can get a little jumpy with them. Now, in this case in Chicago, I was very mindful of that, and the trainer actually picked that beautiful white horse, not only because it's gorgeous, but it also happened to be blind in one eye. So it couldn't see any flash stroke coming from one side, and that was kind of helpful. But no, I mean, you just want a horse that's relatively relaxed and quiet, so we're not going to run into problems with that horse getting freaked out. However, I would rather shoot with a giant scrim and a bounce. It's going to be just a cleaner look. It's great for both video and photography. Obviously, when you're using a strobe, it doesn't work for video. It only works for photography. So this is some slow-mo stuff that we did with the Mark IV. And you notice we're doing some up and down sequences because remember, you're only going to be cutting about like a 1.5 second tops, little clip from each clip. So we're just doing little up to down to up sequences and creating just that little moment. And then we cut frame to the next one. And then also, I think we did some side to side here and, going from one side to the next. And I start by being out of frame and then pan over and go in frame. She didn't know the right expression there, but that was the idea right here. It's going from in frame to, or out of frame to in frame. And then, but that might be the right moment right there with her kissing the horse. That's a fantastic moment. So when shooting with horses, definitely be mindful of the equipment because they can get very, very jumpy, especially with drones and strobes. But those are really, really great questions. And I think that if you guys are going to shoot high fashion with horses, make sure you're going to have the right production and you're going to have assistants there. Because I had 4 assistants on production. I made sure that, everybody was really safe, made sure that I had one model that's actually a great horse rider, Callie, the girl that was riding the horse, because she was very comfortable and she rides horses. So it was really, really easy for her. So excellent. Okay, so Rod R, he asks, you mentioned that 5 photographers from the workshop got published on our most recent editorial in Photo Nostra magazine. Did the photographers seek themselves a magazine editorial, or did you submit separately, or you submit as a group? That's a great question, Rod. I actually got them published myself. So I have relationships with magazines. In fact, we have quite a few people that have attended our workshops that now are owners of magazines. So from LA Fashion Magazine to Cool America Magazine, that basically they attended our workshops at one point. Now they own magazines and they publish whatever I want. This happened to be Photo Nostra magazine, and it was a great editorial. And it was, and it got featured. It got published as the cover in one of the, the recent issues. I think this was the May issue of Photo Nostra magazine, and it was pretty fantastic. So this was, we got the cover, and we've got 5 of our photographers published. So, but we also have a lot of photographers that also go out and get published on their own as well. So not only do I publish it, but usually at our workshops, every single workshop we direct gets published in a magazine, whether I get them published or whether they get published on their own. Photographers get published. And that's a big deal because it can really, add to your gravitas. And this is all done at the masterclass, by the way, right here. This one as well, this one as well, this one as well. And that's really spectacular to see this stuff. In fact, Martika Gartman, who was one of the photographers you heard from today, she also got published as well right here. So that was pretty incredible. This is also published from the Castle, from Mary Peacock, one of our photographers that's taken several workshops. But absolutely, I've been published over 177 times, so I'm here to help you get published. I'm very adept at it, and I know how to, create a story, produce a production, and to get the stuff placed. That's really important. But producing, guys, I really want you to think about all the details, from the equipment to the models, the casting, the food, making sure you have a really healthy, good selection of catering, epic locations, you have your film permits, you have the locations ready to go. You also are going to have the right equipment team. I usually have at least 3 photographic assistants with me at all times. Plus, you have to have the right team of stylists. Top fashion stylists, hairstylists, makeup artists, usually assistants for those stylists, and sometimes even prop stylists, manicurists, etc. And then also your video team. So I typically have camera operators, drone operators as well. You know, make sure you have the right crew and production to make it right. So you want to create great stuff and you want to create mind-blowing content, but if you have an aspect like that on a production, just like we're going to be doing at the New York workshop, it will really give you that opportunity to be like, wow, oh my goodness, I just shot the greatest imagery of my lifetime, and I'm really excited going forward. So these are all really excellent questions, guys. And thank you so much for you know, attending this. And guys, I can't wait to see you at these upcoming experiences. I want to thank you all for joining us on this amazing webinar. And I encourage you guys, before you go, to please, if you haven't already, schedule a consult on producing and portfolio reviews in the chat right here. Please, you know, click on that and you know, set up a consult with us, because we'd love to talk with you. We're here to help you. We're here to guide you. And as Hans, you know, and Martika, you've been with us for like 9 years. You know, Hans, tell us about it. You know, your experience after the fact, us working with you on selecting your images. I'd love for you to comment on that. Oh, you're on mute. Hold on, you're on mute, Hans. There you go.
So, okay. The best thing is, after the workshop, you upload your best images out of the camera to the Dropbox. And I had a review with you last Wednesday, about 90 minutes, all about my pictures. And yeah, you give me a very good feedback. What I did at this workshop is what I did good, what I did bad, and what can I improve. And I think that's it's a high value for that comes on top. Yeah, I was always thinking, my God, are my pictures good? I need a feedback, and I need a positive feedback from someone who tells me what I can make better, yeah, in the future. So I think this comes on top to all these workshops. And I was thinking in the beginning, before the first workshop, maybe it's an expensive workshop, but it isn't. If you see the value out of it, you get so much experience, so much new skills, so much yeah. I would say you're motivated after this after such a workshop to do it better for your business. And I can, to everybody who is watching this webinar, saying, takes a chance and jump into any of these workshops. You will. I really can recommend to do this. I have nothing out of it. It's really my opinion. And if anybody wants to call me or send me an email, do it whenever you want. I'm ready for this to answer your other question about a workshop from a standpoint of a customer, of a consumer of Kevin workshops.
Oh, well, that means the world to me, man. That's really sweet. I appreciate that, Hans. I'm glad that that helped, you know, kind of after the fact. And also I worked with you on retouching strategies. I even hooked you up with a great retouch to help.
You know, this is amazing. In the beginning, it's the first day you can talk to agents. You have never the possibility to talk to someone, show an agent your portfolio. They give you all a good review and a good feedback. What you can do better, and even at the first workshop, I came with my model and portrait portfolio, and what's his name from Los Angeles? It was
You met with the agent, Jay Foster.
yeah, Jay Foster. He was such a nice guy. He talked to me
Yes.
about 30 minutes, went over my pictures and said, yeah, is this what you want to do in the future, or you want to make money? Then you have to go on lifestyle, and that's a market. And if you want to shoot portraits, it's fine, yeah, but you will always stay on a low level and don't make money with this lifestyle and fashion. There is a money, and if you're a good shooter and have good relationships, then you're in business, and that's what I want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I want, and that's why I booked a couple of workshops, because I know it's worth it. I get good connections. You help me with the strategy. You help me with getting in contact with agents, and you help me working on my portfolio, even with the retouching. Yeah, it helps really a lot. Yeah, and I can recommend these workshops to everybody.
Oh, well, thank you, Hans. I really appreciate that, and I love having you there. I want more people like Hans and David and Martika, because they're just absolutely wonderful photographers and wonderful people, and I'd love to have you guys.
That's really one thing. If you're there for 4 days, you feel like in family. You know, like Chelsea said, we are working hard a couple of hours. We are sweating. The models are sweating, but you give us a possibility to direct something we could never do by our own, yeah, or spending thousands of dollars for models and a team. And so we talking every evening about the scenes and everything. And you know, this is I'm feeling really good over there. Yeah, I'm feeling comfortable every evening, and I'm really sad after the 4th day.
We're all sad. We're all sad to say goodbye. And yeah, absolutely.
It's really a great experience. I couldn't believe it, but it's really true. You show a lot of my pictures here.
Yeah, we're just looking at some of these lifestyle images from the lifestyle day, and they're breathtaking. You know, and these are just straight out of camera, unretouched, unedited, just unbelievable imagery. And I'm proud of you, man, because Hans, you know, you created the greatest images of your life, and it's just spectacular to see, you know, how unbelievable your images can come together with the production at your fingertips. And that's when you're shooting with horses like this, you know, it's hard to get the right angle. And I had to really coach him to get the right angle, because if you shoot a horse from too high up, the horse's legs look little. And if you shoot them from too low, they look distorted. So we had to get just the right plane when shooting the horse. Like, this is a good example of a strong one right here. Really powerful image. I think this is one we chose. Beautiful lighting. Really, really challenging to light this. We had a giant.
I'm not scared about horses.
And we also, as the day progressed, we shot with that giant hot light too. We had a continuous daylight balance hot light outside, and we shot with a giant bounce. And but look at how beautiful this is. Straight out of camera, unretouched. Getting the right, you know, movement with the face of the horse, the right movement with the girl, the hair, the makeup, the wardrobe, everything comes together. It's breathtaking.
She was incredible. She was an incredible model for 4 days. Yeah, if you see her lifestyle wardrobe and everything, and you see her over here as a fashion model, wow, she's really high talented. Yeah,
she is. She's talented, and they can do everything, and I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, these are unbelievable. I mean, it's just straight out of Italian Vogue kind of story. And I'm really proud of you and David and Martika. I mean, these images are just straight out of camera, unedited.
I think before your workshops, I wasn't able to tell a story with my pictures. Yeah, I was always working on it, but you show a photographer who has not so much experience as I did before the first workshop, how to create stories and how to create impressive pictures. I really like my pictures now. Yeah.
And you should. I mean, you should be really proud. I mean, you shot mind-blowing images, incredible stories with world-class production and video. And I mean, look at these. These are just breathtaking, you know, to get.
Well, that's the reason why I say, yeah, in the beginning you think about, okay, this is a couple of $1,000s, but it's really worth it if you want to invest it for your future. Yeah. This, I've never had a chance to shoot just such images with such models and at such locations. Yeah, was not possible. Yeah,
Absolutely, absolutely. And now it's just like you're on another level. You're on an absolute other level. So I'm just wowed and dazzled by you. So thank you, Hans. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate your time to jump on and join us here because this is fantastic. And thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys joining us on these webinars. I love having you here. I love doing this. I love sharing knowledge and I love helping other photographers. It means the world to me. And I'm dedicated to you guys. I want you to know that. We have some incredible experiences coming up. And if you look at our calendar, I'd love to share it with you. So we have some experiences coming up in that we have in New York, which is going to be next week, the 16th through the 19th, and that's on high fashion. So we're going to be doing an unbelievable fashion workshop on location and in studio. Following that, we're going to be doing in Napa Valley, and Napa Valley will be a high-end wedding fashion story. So it's going to be a 4-day experience up in Napa Valley. We're shooting with horses once again, as well as with unbelievable. We're going to have over $100,000 worth of wedding gowns from high-end designers, and it's going to be just breathtaking. And that's more for wedding and portrait photographers. And then we have our Elite Masterclass, which is in late October. And this is what we showed you before, where we shot with supermodel Elena with parachutes, and we're going to do another absolutely mind-blowing project. And we're looking at some things now, and I want to plan more of this with you guys attending, like Hans, but thinking about some really huge, like really over-the-top flowing dresses, over the top. And we're looking at insane locations, and I'm really, really excited about that. And then following that, we have Miami Beach in November, which is essentially we're going to be shooting with Sports Illustrated swimsuit supermodels. Miami is probably my own personal favorite workshop of the year. And this is just really, really incredible what we shoot there. This was also, we shot all the 5D Mark IVs on gimbals, shot with drones as well, and created just mind-blowing content in Miami. So we did this one in Key Largo at the owner, actually, Convertibles, who's the owner of Industry Models. We shot at his mansion estate in Key Largo and created just mind-bending content. So this is amazing. We're going to do something like this spectacular again. 4-day workshop. 3 out of the 4 days is going to be resort lifestyle, and then the fourth, and then we're going to have 1 day on high-end swim. So it's going to be pretty spectacular. And I can't wait for these experiences. We also have a section of this in April of next year that's also almost full. So if you guys are interested in Miami, definitely let us know. And then we're going to be coming back to Newport, which a lot of you guys had expressed some interest in that. Newport is pretty amazing. Actually, here's Hans here shooting in the background with me kind of discussing the Newport Beach experience.
Now, we're at an epic multi-million-dollar mansion estate here in Newport, and we are on set photographing 5 of some of the most stunning top models from Los Angeles, from the top modeling agencies. And I'm so excited because we have this massive set utilizing giant scrims and bounces, which to me are my absolute favorite way to light a lifestyle scene. Now, what I like about that is that it gives me the opportunity to have a very large space that I can illuminate, and also I can light something just with a giant bounce and not having to take individual strokes. Now, when I do this, it gives me the chance to photograph something that's not going to be overlit. It's not going to be fake. It's going to be something that's authentic. It's something that's real and caught in the moment. Because that's what Slice of Life is all about. It's all about creating that moment, allowing it to unfold, and then capture it. Now, as you can see behind me, photographer Hans here is photographing an incredible scene. He's art directing these 3 models, and we're utilizing this beautiful VW bus. We've got props like the guitar, picnic set, skateboards, all different amazing props, and we're shooting in front of the house out on the street. But when we're photographing something like this, we got to be really mindful of every little detail, making sure that the props are on point, the wardrobe's on point, the models are incredible, and making sure that when we're photographing, we're going to be shooting at the proper exposure. Now, when we're photographing under something like this, a giant scrim, this is a 1 1/4 scout scrim, we're going to be making sure to expose for the model's face and not for the background. And this is, I know a lot of photographers struggle with this, but for us, it's really, really important that we're going to expose for the model's face and make sure that the background, even if it goes and blows out a little bit, that's actually encouraged for lifestyle. We want to have that light, fresh, airy look. To me, that's going to be the absolute best way to photograph lifestyle because it incorporates something that's very fresh, very beautiful, and that's what we're looking for, is that fresh, light look. Now, when we're photographing, I also want you guys to look at the light and the illumination on the face. So even though we're shooting the worst time of day, I mean, we started shooting here at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it's brutal, it's in the middle of summer, but utilizing a scrim, the light is magical. We're turning the sun into a giant softbox, and that's why it looks so beautiful on me as well as their faces. Now, what we're gonna do then is we use a giant bounce, scrim jim 8 by 8 foot, and we're gonna angle it so that it's gonna be bouncing the light back from the sun right into their faces. And it's big enough, since it's 8 by 8, to illuminate the entire scene. And that's why everything is lit up perfectly, including the VW bus. But I wanna make sure that when you're photographing a scene like this, to think about every little detail, but most importantly, photographing and art directing the right expressions. So Hans, come over here for a second. When you're photographing, I noticed you got to shoot something that was really beautifully art directed. You were able to direct the scene, not only photographically. What do you feel like was, did you have any aha moments when you're photographing the scene?
Yeah, the aha moment of the scene and the light. Yeah, the girls are beautiful. Yeah, they have beautiful expressions. I like that. Everybody's different, and it's a lot of accomplishment. All the scene, the light, on the your direction, you're perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, you did an incredible job, and what I like is your vision. You were very animated, and instead of just sitting there and passively photographing, you actually came in and art directed and guided the models into the right scenario, making sure that they're giving you their all, making sure that they're giving you what you want, and not just being a passive photographer. It's all about commanding the set, creating that moment, allowing it to unfold, and then just capturing it and creating magic. So I'm excited, and I can't wait to see what we come up with. The images are spectacular. This has been an epic week. We've been photographing for 4 straight days, and the images and the video content that we're filming on 8K red cinema cameras is just astounding.
Cool. I decided to play that, guys, because I wanted to give you a little taste of
Kevin Michael Schmitz here.
what that's
I'm
all
on
about.
set, last day of the Newport Beach photographic experience.
All right.
Now, we're at an epic multi-million-dollar mansion estate here in
let me
Newport.
freeze that. All right, guys. So there's a lot of you guys were interested in Newport, so I wanted to share that. And since we had the great Hans Paul on here, I wanted to, to show him actually shooting in action. And it was really cool, Hans, because if you notice, like, the girls were so animated and excited, and he was coaching them and guiding them and allowing them to move. And we had to do the same thing with horses. When we're shooting with horses, it was like you're guiding the horses. You're guiding the horse trainer to guide the horses. You have to make sure the models have the right expression while they're by the horses, because you have these split seconds. But it's complex, and we got to make sure that, like, all those little details come into that proper moment and then capture it and get those right expressions. You did an amazing job. And so did Martika, and so did David. You guys just knocked it out of the park there. David, I was so impressed at what you shot with expressions. I think you just mastered those expressions as well. It was really, really fantastic. So anyway, guys, this has been an amazing webinar. Thank you so much for joining us. I can't wait to see you guys, and I look forward to speaking to each and every one of you and having you join us at our Elite workshops. over the next couple of months, and then also into 2021. This is going to be an epic year, and when all this stuff lifts, the photographic industry is going to explode and get back into it. So we've got to build our portfolios now, and part of that all comes with producing. So thanks for joining me, and I'm glad you guys, hopefully you learned a little bit of something on how to shoot with vintage vehicles, with horses, with producing, art directing, all of those details. And I can't wait to see you at the upcoming experiences. If you guys do want to join us in that last spot in New York, let us know. And I can't wait to see you. Take care, guys. Have an awesome day.